Thor Love and Thunder, more like Thor Love and I wonder if Tessa Thompson is single and willing to date a man 18 years younger than her. Anyway, this movie's not great. Thor Love and Thunder is completely a Taika Waititi movie, for better and for worse. I think it's going to be easier for me to first get into the things that I did like. A lot of people on Twitter have been saying that this movie is basically a worthless piece of garbage, and despite the fact that it has a lot of problems, I wouldn't call it worthless. I mean, it's close, but I wouldn't probably call it completely worthless, at least. As far as the villain goes, I do like Gore the God Butcher, and I think Christian Bale is doing a really good job. I mean, in reality, he doesn't get much time to shine, but I think his performance was weird, and it was cool, and I really dig it. Yeah, his performance is easily the best thing about this movie, probably. He's not the best villain in the MCU, but at least he has some, actual motivation. I get why he's doing what he's doing, which is more than I can say about a lot of the other MCU villains. Cough, cough, this one on screen right now. Like I said, this is a Taika movie through and through, which means that this is a comedy. Personally, I think that the jokes in this movie are fine. They're pretty good. Not all of them are hits, obviously, but there are at least some funny moments in this movie. The problem is, though, that this movie is trying to be too funny. Now, you might be asking, but Spencer, how can a movie be too funny? Well, let me break it down, okay? I've said this before, but a big problem that has always faced the MCU is the fact that it tends to dial down the serious and intense moments with just forced comedy. Weirdly enough, one movie that had this problem was probably Thor Ragnarok, and Thor Love and Thunder basically just doubles down on this issue. Thor Love and Thunder has a premise that, if written well, can show the depth of all these characters, but instead of giving them these emotional moments, Taika just kind of sells them out for jokes. And listen, I like Taika a lot. I like a lot of his movies, but it feels like when he wrote this, he was only thinking about how to make a funny movie instead of making one with depth and heart. A little bit of spoilers here, so maybe click off if you got to this point. But this movie has a story about Jane Foster coming back into Thor's life, but the issue is that she has cancer. She tries to use Mjolnir to help her heal, but instead of the hammer healing her, it is instead killing her even faster. At this point in his journey, Thor has basically lost everyone, so losing Jane again, and for good, should be something that affects him a lot emotionally. But nah, he's just making some goofs and gaffs. Being a good old silly boy. There is no balance. This movie is basically a joke per minute movie. It is literally a joke per minute. And the problem with having too many jokes is that instead of having one or two characters who serve as the comedic relief, you literally have everyone serving as the comedic relief. It doesn't make any of them feel different from each other or special. Anything with even a speck of emotion is made into a joke. There is a scene where Valkyrie talks about how she will probably never meet anyone because she lost her last girlfriend to Hela, and then they just make it a joke. At one point you actually do think that Korg died, but then that is just made into a joke. Thor is literally faced with one of the most emotional journeys of his life, with a literal god butcher killing his people and his girlfriend telling him that she only has so long to live. But Thor doesn't really show any sadness, he's just making jokes. I think on a base level, Thor's arc in this movie makes sense, but it takes a backseat to all these goddamn jokes. I understand that this is a movie where Thor has to learn how to open his heart again. I really do like that he learns that it is better to be with someone you love and lose them than to be alone your whole life. I like that idea, but like I said, it isn't the forefront of this film. The jokes are. With a movie this short and this fast paced, you gotta spend as much time developing characters as you can, and Taika just doesn't do that. I'm pretty sure that when he started writing this movie, his first thought wasn't, how can I further Thor's arc? He's lost his brother, father, mother, and now the love of his life is slowly dying. what can I do to make that a deep story? Nah, Taika was just like, let's just add some jokes in there and, maybe some bad visual effects and just call it a day, guys. Oh man, that leads me to the next thing. The effects in this movie are not that good. Listen, some of it can probably be chalked up to the VFX artists not having enough time to actually work and finish this movie. Apparently, a lot of these VFX artists are now saying that Marvel basically overworks them and gives them ridiculous deadlines. So I'm sure that that has a lot to do with it. I think another part of it is that Taika just doesn't know how to properly use the light and magic OLED screen, because that's one of the biggest issues with the effects with this movie. Backgrounds don't properly go well in some scenes. The volume stage might seem like an easy machine that makes it easier to shoot backgrounds and helps your actors get into character and know what they're acting at. But if it's not used right, it can lead to this shit right here, which is just, bro, you gotta do better than this. While writing this, I realized that this movie isn't very good, which is upsetting because I did want to love it. It had so much potential and could have given us a deep dive into Thor, Jane, and Valkyrie. There is a good story about these three characters somewhere in there, but it is covered in the goddamn jokes. And listen, I like some of the jokes. I know I said a lot of people are talking about how it's not funny, but I have to say my theater was laughing and I chuckled a little bit. The biggest problem with the comedy is when the jokes miss and no one laughs and it has that awkward pause. Oof, that's rough. But the thing about comedy, though, is that there has to be something more than just that. You can't just get by on comedy, on laughter. Even people who make comedy movies know that there needs to be an emotional center to a story. What I'm trying to say is that a movie with a character like Thor, who's been through so much emotional stuff, shouldn't just be a straight up comedy. You can have comedy in it, for sure, definitely. But there needs to be an emotional center. That's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, Thor Love and Thunder does have a emotional center, but it seems like they cared more about making it funny and less about actually making it heartfelt. Listen, I could talk about this all day, but I think I should start to wrap it up here because I'm probably running out of footage to use for this edit. So I guess I am going to give Marvel Studios' Thor Love and Thunder a 4.5 out of 10. Yeah, it's definitely entertaining, but it wastes such an amazing villain and performance by Christian Bale and decides just to make the rest of its characters jokes instead of real people with real emotions and real problems. I don't know. I'm just tired of Marvel Studios making every movie basically a comedy. Like, you guys can get a little serious, you know? You don't have to put comedy in every movie. Anyways, whatever. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate everyone who has subscribed recently. It's awesome. Let's try to hit 60 subs by mid-August. That would be so sick. Anyway, guys, remember, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay sexy. Okay, bye.